Hi there, my name is Leslie Johns and I'm an attorney and the intake specialist for the Equality Ohio Legal Clinic. I'd like to go over a couple of important documents with you as part of our legal wellness check. The first is a living will declaration. A living will declaration applies when you are terminally ill or unable to communicate your healthcare wishes or are permanently unconscious. There are a number of items that are included in your living will declaration that I'd like to go over with you. First, of course, your name and your date of birth. Second, there are certain special instructions. You will indicate in your living will declaration if you agree to the conditions regarding withholding or withdrawing artificial hydration or nutrition. You will also include who you wish to be notified in the event a physician decides to withhold or withdraw life-sustaining treatment. You also have the option to note whether or not you wish to make an anatomical gift. You'll also indicate in your living will declaration whether or not you have completed a healthcare power of attorney. You will include your signature, the date and location of which you were signing, and in order for your living will document to be valid, it either needs to be witnessed by 2 witnesses or notarized by a notary public. The healthcare power of attorney document is similar, but a little bit different. A healthcare power of attorney document allows you to name the person to act on your behalf to make healthcare decisions for you if you become unable to make them for yourself. Unlike a living will declaration, healthcare power of attorney is not limited to situations in which you are terminally ill or permanently unconscious. There are several things that are similar to a living will document that are included in your healthcare power of attorney document. You will designate an agent. An agent is a person that you name to make healthcare decisions for you as authorized in your healthcare power of attorney document. You must include their name and their contact information. You will also detail what authority your agent has to make decisions on your behalf. You also have the ability to indicate if there are additional instructions or limitations that you can impose of your agent. Included in the healthcare power of attorney document are the same special instructions that are included in the living will declaration. For the healthcare power of attorney document, you will indicate whether or not you have a living will declaration. Also included in your healthcare power of attorney document are your signature, the location and date in which you signed, and in order for your healthcare power of attorney document to be valid, it must be either signed and witnessed by 2 witnesses or notarized by a notary public. I hope that you found this information helpful, and if you would like to complete your living will declaration and healthcare power of attorney, you can follow the link below to get the packet of information for you to complete yourself.
Why don't you just tell us your name and what you do at Equality Ohio?
My name is Leslie Johns, and I am the intake specialist for Equality Ohio. So I field basically the calls that come in for legal services through the legal clinic. So really, my video is just explaining the paperwork that goes into it and how to complete the paperwork, because ultimately that's what you need if you want to have yourself covered with a living will or a healthcare power of attorney. You need the actual documents.
Shrima, do you want to do like every other question here?
Okay, yep, I have a couple of questions. Should I start or do you want to start?
Go ahead.
Okay, and so I guess maybe the major question is, can you explain the difference between a living will document and healthcare power of attorney document?
Yeah, so a living will declaration applies when you are terminally ill, and so you're unable to communicate your decisions that you want made regarding your health. So that's a situation that arises, generally speaking, like randomly, like it's not something that's planned out or anything like that. So in the case of an emergency and you're unable to make decisions, a living will declaration explains and goes over what your healthcare wishes are if you're permanently unconscious. Healthcare power of attorney is a bit similar. However, it gives the person or an agent more say in your healthcare decisions. You don't necessarily have to be terminally ill or permanently unconscious. The situations aren't limited to that when it comes to healthcare power of attorney.
Okay. And an agent can just be like anybody?
Anybody that you select and want to be your authorized agent to do it. So it's generally speaking someone that you feel like comfortable with, who knows you. I wouldn't just randomly pick anybody. Somebody that you trust to kind of execute exactly what it is that you want to do in situations of like emergencies and sensitive situations regarding their medical care.
I remember this seemed to be more common almost before marriage, where, and it might still be the case, I don't know, maybe you can speak to that, but it seemed like it was kind of a queer skill set to know how to navigate a lot of these kind of like paralegal social like norms around having contracts for what you allow like your person, your partner, your romantic partner to do in your life. Has that do you think it's still as important now as it used to be, and maybe what are some of the scenarios where people might need this?
Well, prior to the legalization of gay marriage, certainly these documents were super important, because if your spouse, same-sex partner, were to come to a hospital in an emergency situation, they might not even be let in the room. So now that folks are able to legally be married and gay marriage is recognized, things have changed a little bit, but I would say that it's still just as important, because just because you're in a long-term committed relationship with someone doesn't mean that you're going to be married. And so in those particular situations, that's where having these documents would be important. Sometimes I know that a lot of conflict may happen regarding decisions that have been made, because if you are not married and your parents may, I guess, disapprove or not want to allow your partner to be involved in those decision-making things, then not having these documents will complicate things a lot. So having them in same-sex relationships is definitely something that's important, and maybe more so than a heterosexual relationship.
I have a couple of kind of quick questions, and so the first one is, if you fail as your healthcare power of attorney, is there anyone in your life who kind of becomes your de facto healthcare power of attorney if you're not married?
So so as far as the healthcare power of attorney document goes, if you don't have one, then your next of kin would be the person who would be making these decisions. But if you just fail to include a contact person, then your healthcare power of attorney document is not even valid. It's not a valid healthcare power of attorney document unless you name an agent and include their contact information.
Okay, and then just next question, once you've named a person in your healthcare power of attorney document, can you change your mind? Can you only change your mind if you're healthy? Can you change your mind once you become terminally ill?
So your healthcare power of attorney document is a working document, so you can change it whenever you want. You can do as many of them as you want. You can change them at any time. The problem becomes if you are incapacitated and unable to make decisions at that point, then you wouldn't be able to change your document, and the person that's listed in there is who it is. So you just want to make sure that you keep it updated and you're satisfied with who your agent is, but it can be revoked by you at any time.
Okay, great, thank you.
This seems like something that, to me, my first thought would be I could totally DIY this. And I know people that do all the time, and update it all the time. That being said, how have you dealt with these in your work at Equality Ohio? When should I really think I should reach out to an attorney and get some help with this? And maybe as part to enrich that discussion is second part. It kind of seems like these things, like I might realize that I need one after I already need one, and it seems like it would be really good if I had this done before I needed it. I guess I'm just wondering if you have any suggestions on how to kind of build that urgency beforehand.
Yeah, so full disclosure, I just did mine during the pandemic. So although I've been a licensed attorney for at this point, like 6 years, I just did mine. It was at the urgency of my SME, actually, who said that everybody on team should have this done. And so we were required to pretty much complete the document. It's like morbid to think about, but like in times like that we're in right now in a pandemic, like things change so fast, and you just never know. So having this done sooner rather than later is going to save a lot of headache and a lot of stress and a lot of just trauma associated with any type of major health issue that might arise and you're not expecting it to. So doing it sooner rather than later is super important. Is it something that you need an attorney for? No. There are documents that you can fill out and complete online. So hopefully the video on living will declarations and healthcare power of attorneys will help assist people who want to do them on their own. This is not something that you have to have an attorney do. You will need the document notarized. So attorneys are notaries. So you might want to have an attorney maybe look over your documents if you want to have them notarize it. But notaries are available, at banks, at FedEx Kinkos. So you don't need an attorney to do it. And hopefully the video and the instructions that we give throughout the video explain some of those sections that might not be so clear for everybody.
So if you are terminally ill, will you be prompted by medical staff to create the living will declaration, or is this something you already need to know to do? A healthcare professional might ask you if you have those documents. I don't know if you got your driver's license recently, but I just got mine renewed, and they asked me if I had one, and I actually do. So that is something that they put on your driver's license. So if you are in like a car accident or something like that and are transported to the hospital, whoever it is, medical professionals will know that you have these documents available and will try and reach whoever those folks are. Keep them in a safe place. Let the person know who actually is your designated agent, that they are your designated agent, so that they know, that they should expect to receive a call or something like that if something were to go wrong or something were to happen to you. But personally, I've never been asked that from a medical professional, and that's a great question because you would think that that's something that they would ask everybody. Maybe now they are starting to ask that question more, but that is not something that they always ask you regarding if you have those documents, but definitely encouraged. I know that a lot of the local hospitals have these documents available on their websites and things like that because they are super important to have and make everybody's job easier if they exist. Yeah, it's kind of scary that they don't just automatically ask everyone, especially right now during the pandemic.
Exactly. Now would be the time.
Yeah, I've been noticing the more the more time passes, the more my phone is becoming more of an identification for me and to me, of me, than my driver's license. And for the iPhone, of course, has a little medical ID that's visible on your lock screen. And so in there, I put any recent medication changes, or I put my blood type, my partner's name and number, then also my primary care doctor. So it's all visible right in there. And when you were talking, it made me think, in addition to the driver's license, I could also put it on the medical ID on my phone.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. So would this be something that I could, I don't know, I think my bank has notaries, but probably also attorneys. And I mean, notaries are around. Do I need to bring the person and the paper to the notary and then they can just do it?
So I'll explain exactly how you get your official document. So there are two options. You can have two witnesses, although your two witnesses cannot be one of the agents or contact people. So that makes it a little bit complicated sometimes for people because they have to bring in a whole group of people in order to get this document done. But if that's not an option and you don't have two people that are not one of the people in the documents to witness it, you can go to a notary. Attorneys are notaries. You can go to your bank for a notary. You can go to FedEx Kinkos for notaries. There are other just random entities in themselves, like individuals who have bond businesses, like criminal bonds, like if you were trying to get bonded out of jail or something like that, randomly, there are notaries at those locations. So really there's just a number of businesses that have notaries available, but the notable ones, banks, FedEx Kinkos, UPS store, they will note if they have notaries on staff or that are available to notarize the document. I mean, I generally would recommend the document being notarized versus having two witnesses, just because there's a really good chance that the person that's closest to you is the one who's in the document, and they cannot be one of the witnesses.
I know sometimes people talk about writing wills on napkins or something like that, or like writing really important documents really quickly on maybe not so legal seeming ways. Can you write your living will on a napkin and still get it notarized, and is that legal?
As long as you have all of the requirements that are in the living will declaration and healthcare power of attorney, absolutely. The documents the links that we provided are simply just templates. So you could have someone draft it up on a Word doc, you could write it down on a piece of notebook paper. As long as you have hit all of the requirements in the document, then it will be official.
Okay.